There's a symptom that shows up in almost every person over 60 at some point, and most people either ignore it completely or blame it entirely on diet. It's not fatigue, and it's not weight gain in general. It's something more specific, a change in where your weight sits on your body, combined with a quiet loss of muscle you don't even notice happening until your clothes fit differently or you struggle to open a jar you used to open without thinking twice. Most people write this off as simply getting older, but this particular pattern is often your body's way of telling you that something in your hormone system has shifted, and if it goes unaddressed for years, it can quietly affect your strength, your balance, your metabolism, and even your risk of falls down the road. Stay with me, because later I'll walk you through exactly what's happening inside your body and the specific steps that can help you address it before it progresses further. I'm a doctor, and I've spent more than 3 decades treating adults over 60. In that time, I've learned that some of the most important health changes are also the quietest ones. They don't come with dramatic symptoms. They show up gradually in ways that are easy to dismiss, which is exactly why I wanted to talk about this today in plain language, the same way I would explain it to a patient sitting in my office. Let me tell you about a patient I'll call Dorothy. Dorothy was 71 years old, a retired school teacher living outside Phoenix. She had always been active, gardening most mornings and walking her neighborhood most evenings. About a year and a half before she came to see me, she noticed her waistline had changed, even though her weight on the scale had barely moved. She also noticed her arms felt weaker. Carrying groceries in from the car, something she'd done for decades without a second thought, started to feel genuinely tiring. She mentioned it to her primary doctor, who suggested she simply needed to eat a bit less and exercise a bit more. Dorothy tried that. She cut back on portions, she added an extra walk to her week, and nothing changed. If anything, she felt more tired. When Dorothy came to see me, I asked her some questions that hadn't come up before. Had she noticed changes in her sleep? Yes, she said. She woke up more at night than she used to. Had her skin changed at all, become drier or thinner? She paused, then said yes, actually. Her rings had started feeling loose, and her skin did seem to bruise more easily. Had anyone commented on changes in her hair or nails? Her hairdresser had mentioned her hair seemed thinner recently. None of these details seemed connected to Dorothy, but together, they painted a clear picture. And when we ran a hormone panel, we found that several of her key hormone levels, including her thyroid hormones, had shifted meaningfully from where they'd been just a few years earlier. This is what I want to explain today, because what happened with Dorothy reflects something that happens to a huge number of people after 60, and it rarely gets connected to hormones until someone asks the right questions. Let's talk about what's actually happening in your body during this stage of life. Your hormone system functions like a communication network, sending signals between your brain, your thyroid, your adrenal glands, and depending on your sex, your ovaries or your testes. These signals regulate your metabolism, how efficiently your body burns energy, how it builds and maintains muscle, how it manages stress, and even how well you sleep. Starting in your 50s and continuing through your 60s, 70s, and beyond, several of these hormone levels shift gradually. In women, this is most dramatically seen with the decline in estrogen following menopause, but it continues in more subtle ways for years afterward. In men, testosterone declines gradually starting in their 30s and continues at a slow, steady pace through their 60s and 70s. At the same time, thyroid function in both men and women can shift with age, sometimes slowing down in ways that are easy to miss on a standard checkup unless specifically tested. Here's why this becomes more significant after 60 specifically. These hormone shifts don't happen in isolation. They interact with each other. Lower sex hormone levels affect how your body builds and maintains muscle. Slower thyroid function affects your metabolism and your energy production. Changes in a stress hormone called cortisol, which naturally shift with age, can affect where your body stores fat, often shifting it toward the midsection even without any change in overall calorie intake. This is precisely the pattern Dorothy experienced. Her weight didn't change much on the scale, but her body composition did: less muscle, more fat concentrated around her midsection. Exactly the kind of shift that reflects hormonal change rather than simple lifestyle habits. Most people never notice this happening because each individual symptom seems minor and disconnected. Feeling a bit more tired gets blamed on poor sleep. Weaker arms get blamed on not exercising enough. A looser wedding ring gets attributed to weight fluctuation. Thinner hair gets blamed on genetics or stress. It's only when you step back and look at the whole pattern together, the way we did with Dorothy, that the hormonal picture becomes clear. Research from institutions including Harvard Medical School has described this gradual, age-related decline in muscle mass and strength as a distinct and measurable process, one that accelerates without intervention, and that is closely tied to hormonal changes rather than being an unavoidable, unchangeable part of getting older. According to information published by the National Institutes of Health, thyroid function abnormalities become considerably more common with each advancing decade of life and are frequently underdiagnosed in older adults because symptoms overlap so heavily with what people assume is normal aging. This overlap is exactly why so many people, like Dorothy, go a year or more without an answer. If you're finding this helpful so far, let me know in the comments, and tell me if any part of this sounds familiar to you or someone in your family. I read through these comments regularly, and they help shape which topics I cover next. Here's where this becomes more important for people managing other conditions common after 60. If you have heart disease, joint issues, or a history of falls, muscle loss driven by hormonal changes isn't just a cosmetic concern. Muscle plays a direct role in stability and balance, and a meaningful decline in muscle mass has been associated in research with increased fall risk, which is one of the leading causes of serious injury in adults over 65. This is also relevant if you're managing arthritis, because stronger muscles around your joints directly reduce the load and strain those joints experience day to day. This is one of the most under-discussed connections in senior health, that addressing a hormone-related issue can have a meaningful downstream effect on joint pain and mobility. The next point surprised many of the physicians I've discussed this topic with over the years. Most people assume that if their hormone panel comes back within normal range, there's nothing to address. But normal range on a lab report is based on a wide population average, not on what's optimal for you individually, and not necessarily on where you were 5 or 10 years earlier. A thyroid level that's technically within the lower end of normal can still represent a meaningful decline from your own baseline and can still produce real symptoms. This is why I always encourage patients to ask for their own historical results for comparison, rather than relying only on whether a single result falls inside a general reference range. Now, let's talk about what you can actually do, because I never want to leave you with information without a clear path forward. Here is the approach I recommend to patients like Dorothy, broken into simple steps. Step 1 is to request a comprehensive hormone panel at your next physical, rather than assuming your standard yearly blood work already covers this. Ask specifically about thyroid-stimulating hormone, along with free T3 and free T4. And if you're a man experiencing symptoms like reduced strength or low energy, ask about a testosterone panel as well. This matters because, as we discussed, standard checkups don't always include these specific markers unless you ask directly. Step 2 is resistance training, and I want to be specific here, because this is different advice than simply exercise more. Muscle responds directly to resistance, meaning activities like light weightlifting, resistance bands, or bodyweight exercises such as chair squats and wall push-ups. Research summarized by the Cleveland Clinic has pointed to resistance training as one of the most effective tools available for counteracting age-related muscle loss, even when started later in life, and even in people who have never done any formal strength training before. For someone like Dorothy, this meant starting with just 2 sessions a week using light resistance bands at home, something manageable even for someone who had never exercised this way before. Step 3 is protein intake, specifically spread throughout the day rather than concentrated in one meal. Many older adults unintentionally eat most of their protein at dinner, but research has shown that muscle maintenance is better supported when protein is distributed more evenly across breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This might mean adding eggs, yogurt, or a protein source to breakfast, something Dorothy hadn't been doing at all before we discussed it. Step 4 is prioritizing sleep quality specifically, because your body regulates several key hormones, including testosterone and growth hormone, most actively during deep sleep. Poor sleep doesn't just make you tired the next day. Over time, it can compound hormonal imbalances that are already shifting with age. This means being consistent with your sleep schedule and addressing any underlying sleep issues, such as sleep apnea, which becomes more common after 60 and is frequently undiagnosed. Step 5 is managing chronic stress, because elevated cortisol over long periods interacts directly with other hormones and has been associated with increased fat storage specifically around the midsection, exactly the pattern we discussed earlier. This doesn't mean eliminating stress from your life, which isn't realistic. It means building in specific practices, whether that's daily walks, time in nature, or simply protected quiet time, that give your body a genuine chance to lower cortisol regularly rather than staying elevated day after day. Step 6 is following up with repeat blood work after making these changes, typically at 3 to 6 months, so you and your doctor can see together whether your levels and your symptoms are moving in the right direction. This turns a vague sense of feeling off into a concrete, measurable process, which is exactly what helped Dorothy regain confidence in her own body. Dorothy made these changes gradually over about 5 months. She started with resistance bands twice a week. She added protein to her breakfast, and she worked with her doctor to address early signs of sleep apnea that had gone undiagnosed. When we rechecked her hormone panel, her thyroid levels had improved, and just as meaningfully, she told me her arms felt strong again. Strong enough that carrying groceries no longer felt like a chore. Her rings fit the way they used to. I share Dorothy's story because I want you to understand that this pattern, quiet muscle loss, and a shifting midsection, despite no real change in diet, is not something you simply have to accept as an unavoidable part of aging. It's often a signal worth paying attention to, and in many cases, it responds well to the right combination of testing and targeted lifestyle changes. If this explains something you've been noticing in yourself or in someone you love, type yes in the comments so I know this was useful. I'd also like to ask you directly, have you had a full hormone panel done in the past 2 years, including thyroid markers? I'd like to know what you find. Taking care of yourself after 60 isn't about chasing an impossible standard. It's about paying attention to the quiet signals your body sends you and asking the right questions before small changes become bigger problems. If you found this video valuable, consider subscribing, because I'll keep breaking down topics like this one in language that respects your time and your intelligence. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.